The ATV project, ATV trailer project, continues. Part 3. Okay, so I've got the top of the trailer, or the highest point of the trailer, built, and now I'm going to build the bottom narrower portion, and I'm going to use this as a template just to make sure it stays square with this. Not necessarily square, but square with this, and it's going to sit up about 7 inches between the rails and go around this inner portion. But I got to grind off my welds flush because my uprights are going to sit here and I need a good mounting surface for them. So that's what I'm working on. I'm going to continue grinding, and then when I get ready to lay out, I'll come back with the video. Okay, so if you look at this and are confused, you're probably rightly so. I am building the trailer upside down, so the top of the trailer is on the wide bottom portion, and I'm getting ready to build the intersection of the bottom. So I've got it laid up there, and I've got it squared with my existing rails, which I tried as best I could to get those squared on the lower, what you see here, or the top of the trailer. So I'm going to use this as a jig, get it squared up and welded, proceed from there. Oh, and I went ahead, instead of borrowing a welder, I went ahead and bought one. It's a Forney 140, something like that, model 261. Took me a while to figure out how to get it to arc, and I'm not going to show you any of my welds because they look really shitty. Not like when I was in high school 40 years ago learning to weld on an arc welder in welding class. I used to be pretty good, but I guess it's over 40 years. But I was a young stud athlete back then, and I had a pretty steady hand. And now, as an old geezer, it's not so steady, and this whole flux core welding, wire feed, flux wire feed welding is just not the same as a stick welder. Alright, we're going to get going. I'm going to start welding. It helps to put the ground rod on. Just tack welding everything in place at the moment. Well, my magnets probably don't do much at this point, but got them, so might as well use them, right? Okay, now I'm going to do this side. Now the other side's tacked. Whoa, doggies, I am out of square. Alright, so I'm going to get the bottom side of this done, or the top side of this. flip it back over and finish welding the other side and keep it square with the bottom piece. Pro tip of the day, make sure you wear long sleeve shirts when you weld, because then you don't have sparks landing hot on your arms. And wear leather boots. About 3 times now that I've had sparks melting through my shoes. Tops of my shoes get me dancing around. Nope, I didn't get that one flush. It is what it is. Alright, I'm going to finish welding this over and get it ground down and flipped over. No sense boring you guys with that. Alrighty, I've kind of temporarily mocked it up. I want to do some tack welding and see if I get this thing squared in place without getting it too far out of square between the upper and lower section. Alright, I'm going to finish welding this up. Get these center uprights welded in place. Okay, hope you can start to envision what this is going to look like. It's upside down at the moment. So I'm going to build some axle uprights. Come up here 5.5 inches, and then the axle is going to go across right there. Let me get this thing flipped over, right side up. Maybe you can better envision it. I should have said visualize what it's going to look like. Okay, so I've got it flipped up right, and you can kind of get an idea if you visualize the tires and wheels being underneath it. So we're going to have a trough down in the middle that's lower to the ground to keep the center of gravity down. And then when I need to haul things like plywood and other things, just about have enough width on it to strap it down. Should be alright. And I'm probably going to put some stake pockets on here. Anyway, onward and upwards. Okay, I got the axle in place and lined up, which I hope is square as possible. I'm going to attempt to weld it now. I'll come back, let you know the results. Well, I got going. I said, you know what? I'm going to weld this thing. I ain't taking it to the welder. I'm going to do it myself. So
There it is with the upright braces. I think once I finish getting all the welds on those braces, I don't think that axle is going to go anywhere. But interesting, I was welding along. All of a sudden, I start getting really hot. And I'm like, damn, this thing's letting off a lot of sparks or a lot of heat. All of a sudden, it got really hot. Yeah. I caught on fire. So I dropped the welding rod, I dropped my hood, tried to tap it out, it would not tamp out. So I had to pull it all the way off, and I think I singed some hair. Yeah, that was my excitement for the day. So I guess was a reason when we were in high school welding class, we always wore leather chaps. There you go, there's a reason. You can kind of get a feel for it here. Like that. And again, we're still upside down. As soon as I get my welds done, I'm going to start working on the tongue, and then we'll put the tires back on. Okay, got the axle welded in place, and I just mocked up, brain fart, hitch, tongue. Just got the tongue mocked up. It's slightly leaning forward. You can see that, the bubble there. If I kind of push up on it a little bit, maybe a ½ inch out of level. I got to cut it to size. I got to figure out how far I want. Well, there it is, all welded up. The trailer tongue coupler should be here on Tuesday. And I got painting to do, and I got to still figure out what I'm going to do for material to cover this with. Got 2.5 inches of clearance on the side of the wheels, which is a little more than I anticipated. And 2 inches of clearance above the tires. So if the tires squat, we shouldn't get any rubbing. I might have been able to squeeze an extra inch of width out of the center section and been alright. But you live and learn. It is what it is. I'm just gonna make do. I'm very happy with progress so far. So you might be wondering now, I said on yesterday's segment that I might weld on some stake pockets. And I had some chance to think about it, and I'm going to put one of these on both the back corners and both the front corners. Oh yes, that's another thing. Trailer hitch coupler will not be here until tomorrow, but I got it kind of sitting there, and you can kind of visualize what it's going to look like. And I'm going to build some stake beds 20 inches tall. I'll get the tape measure. So right about there. That's how high I'm going to build them. And they're going to be removable. So that when I get my elk, I can pull these stake beds off and I don't have to lift the elk as high to get over the side of the trailer. Yes, I'm being presumptuous that I'm going to get an elk again. Anyway, so this is going to go on here, and I'm only going to do the 4 corners. I stole a guy's idea off the internet, and I'm going to try it. So I'll get these all welded up, and then I'll build the stake beds, and you'll kind of get an idea. Oh, right there, this 1.5-inch square tubing is 120 or 0.120 thickness, or 1/8 inch. This here, I went down to Western Steel and talked to the guy, and he showed me some options, and we came up with, this is 1.5 inch also, but it's 0.095. I don't know what that equates to. A 1/16 of an inch thickness. I'll have to do some trimming here when I get done welding, but 1 inch 0.65 diameter or thickness square tube will fit directly into that. So I'm going to come up 20 inches with the 0.65 1 inch diameter out of these stake pockets, and then come laterally along. Then the 1 inch 0.65 is going to rest right on this, and it's going to be welded to the stake. You'll see when I get further along. But I wanted to make note of that. So we're going to have 3 thicknesses here. So .120, .095, .020 for the trailer tongue. Excuse me, .095 for the trailer tongue. And then the rails, stake beds, are going to be 0.065, because I wanted to try and lighten them up as much as possible, and looked at the strength of that 1 inch square tubing, and I think it's going to be plenty strong enough, and try and save some weight at this point. We got all the heavy stuff down below here where it counts. You ever heard the expression, about as boring as watching paint dry? I'm not going to make you watch it dry, but that is fresh. Did not do the stake pockets yet, because I have to weld the stake boards in place. I have to use those as a template, so I need a good ground clamp, and no sense painting right where I'm going to be welding, because I'll just have to turn around and paint it again. And what I went with, Rust-Oleum Rusty Metal Primer, because I was not going to grind this entire thing down to bare metal. So I'm hoping this stuff's going to be good. I'm not fond of that red color. Pretty sure I'm going to go with some kind of a dark, flat, olive drab or military type of green. I saw at the hardware store today that Rust-Oleum makes 4 or 5 colors of camouflage paint. And even though I had a very generous offer from my buddy Dave Rands to give it a professional car paint job, I looked at that and I thought, you know, he does really good work at those pictures he sent me. that just look fabulous. But I'm going to thrash the hell out of this up in the woods and throw rocks and dirt and everything else on it. So no sense going that extravagant on the paint job. I just need to make sure the paint holds up and doesn't rust is the big thing. Yeah, that's where we're at. Progress. Oh, and my trailer tongue coupler did not arrive today. Thank you, Amazon Prime, for using the United States Postal Service, because once again they failed to deliver. Oh, that aggravates me to no end when I pay for Amazon Prime service, supposed to get 2-day delivery on things, and it never arrives from 5 days or whatever. So, my little bitch of the moment. It's coming along. Okay, there you have it. The trailer tongue coupler came in yesterday and last night. I got it bolted in place, and it's there. Not hitched down, just temporarily threw it on there. Next step is to take it for a little drive around and see how it's going to tow and if there's going to be any hiccups. As you just saw, that trailer is now roadworthy. At least it can be towed around. Not quite ready for hauling material yet, like an elk. Well, we might be able to get an elk on it the way it is, but certainly not get my elk camp on it. Let's talk about what we've got left to do. I need to get some more, another coat of primer on it, a final coat or two of paint, and then I also need to weld some D-rings on the sides of the side rails for tying down tie-down straps, and I need to build the stake bed rails that will be removable that go on the sides so I can haul more cargo with it. Oh, I need to come up with some kind of cover for the bed itself. So I got a couple things in mind. I keep waffling on changing my mind on what I'm going to do, but you'll have to stay tuned and watch part 4 to watch what I come up with for a final solution. And there may even be a part 5 that you'll have to watch too, because part 4 might not be the final solution. If you have any questions about progress so far, go ahead and comment down below. As always, peace out.